This is Kristin.
And I'm Steve, and you are listening to Cycling Together, a podcast about all things bikes, riding, and riding together.
I'm not sure that I am emotionally prepared for the fact that I don't have a dog who's going to try to break into our recording studio.
Every time she would try to get in here because she needed to be near us.
Yes, so we're a week late. Again, we're probably the only ones, other than maybe Jeff, who are paying attention to our schedule. Because last week we had to say goodbye to our dear Miss Daisy, our furry partner in crime.
Mm-hmm.
So, sigh. Let's sigh. But I'm wearing my sweater in honor of her because it's her colors, black and white.
There we go.
Oh yeah, one of our friends texted me and said, "Your sweaters are like the perfect homage to Daisy." And I said, "Yeah, I wrote in the Steve the Bike Guy update that she wore
create a Daisy patch."
I
for the
said
shoulder.
she wore the black and white before we did, before we added it to the kit. Anyway, this week we are talking about PMC Unpaved, which is the event we did now.
Which is the PMC's gravel edition.
Right.
But we will get into all about the PMC and
you do
rides.
like to take it to the next that we're going to talk about. Yes, that is all true. We did that 2 weeks ago. But first, let's hit a couple of news items.
Okay.
We haven't talked about this one for a while.
Tariffs.
Dun, dun, dun. What would you like to say about tariffs? What's going on?
Well, you have here the latest sort of tariff news, and I guess this is the one that's really has the industry sort of a call to arms on protesting this.
Well, it's the one that also impacts bike shops like ours directly. I mean, there are tariffs all over right?
Every bike company and every shop will be impacted by this next tariff.
Right. And
that's coming up.
What is this next tariff that's coming up?
So this is all bicycles and frames coming into the U.S. from any country would have another 50% tariff on the steel and aluminum content on top of whatever tariff is already in place as well.
Oh my gosh, it's like we just did a show
and
about what bike frames are made of.
Yeah, and the tariffs are already layered. So
right.
There are already so many different tariffs from a single country.
Right.
And now here's another one. And of course, it's the steel and aluminum content. How do you even figure that out? I don't understand how customs is going to figure that out.
They're just not. Either they're going to figure it out or they're just not. Manufacturers are just not going to import bicycles because it's too hard. One of the things I read about it, they did also say that e-bikes with motors greater than 250 watts would face a 50% tariff also on the value of the aluminum content. But one of the things I read particularly about the steel and aluminum is that this was going to hit kids' bikes really hard.
Yep.
And it was going to hit kids' bikes right as we went into the holiday shopping season when people tend to buy their kids a bike, right? A Christmas. What is better than a Christmas or birthday bike? I should say we don't sell kids' bikes, so we're not really getting directly impacted by that.
Right.
Other than to say, if we don't get children on bicycles now.
Correct. Yeah.
Bicycles which have been shown to improve health, combat obesity, reduce screen time. We're not going to get them on bikes later when their brain tells you that's a really stupid thing to do, right? Like we want to get them on, you want them to get into the habit of riding bikes.
Yeah. And you also, the more they're into bikes before they start driving, the more they're probably going to stick with bikes or come back to them.
Yes. Maybe not as a primary source of transportation, but just bikes will become normal. Like it's just. So you want to be somebody who grew up who didn't learn how to ride a bike?
One of the companies pushing for this tariff is Guardian Bikes.
Yes.
And Guardian makes kids' bikes in Indiana, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. But they're also basically, and their self-interest is we destroy the import market for the kids' bikes, then we will own it here in the United States. This is, everybody's not happy with them.
Wait, so you actually think Guardian, I did see something and I didn't feel like diving into the morass. So what you're saying is Guardian is actually...
wants this tariff.
They want this tariff?
Yes. They're the one. Okay. They're one of the. Yeah, they're pushing for this.
Oh, I would have thought they would be partially against this tariff. Well, they're getting tariffed on the steel and aluminum already.
Correct. Yeah.
So they're pro this because then they would be the only ones in the market.
Right.
Which is what you just said. Okay, got it. You can hear me processing in real time. Yeah, I mean, I think we were on a call, or I was on a call with the National Bicycle Dealers Association recently. There's a thing they do every couple of months called Member Mingle, where we can hang out with other bike shop owners and, ask questions and just see how everybody's doing. And there was one bike shop who was like, is anybody else just getting a real weird vibe off of our suppliers? Like the brands that we're working with, that like almost like they don't know what to make us order, or they don't know what we should order, or like the sales reps are kind of as at sea as anyone else. And we were talking about how the issue is going to be the landed costs, right? Like if you order a bunch of bikes now, nobody knows what they're going to cost when they're ready to ship.
Right.
In 2 months, because we don't know what the tariffs are going to be doing.
Yeah, this is always usually the way where if you're ordering bikes, you're ordering, especially say for the 2026 season.
Right.
Many of these bikes wouldn't start arriving, say, December through March. What are they going to actually cost then, though?
Right.
Because these are not just like an extra 5% and maybe you won't see any change from your pricing that you're given now. The bike companies will have no choice but to say, we're sorry, but it is now $500 more for that bike.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so then we're also going to have issues with people who might be in the market for a new bike, being able to find a bike, bike shops not having bikes, or those shops that they have not being able to charge enough for the bikes they have, because...
Right.
Even if they bought them before the pandemic, even if they bought them before the tariffs, to replace them is going to cost so much more than that original bike. So they have to sell their current inventory at an amount that would allow them to make a profit and buy more inventory if they choose to do so. Yeah, it's interesting times. And that actually leads us to our new offering. We have a new offering because we're in the same, there's a couple of things. We're in the same boat that we don't have much inventory right now.
Right.
But we do get a lot of people coming to ask you about bikes.
We do. And I would say there have been periods where I have spent 10 to 20% of my week just helping people pick what bike they're going to buy at another shop or online.
Exactly.
And that's not sustainable.
No, it's not sustainable. But also, I think there's so many. I always say, when I had to pick my mountain bike, I found the choices overwhelming, and I could only choose from the brands you sold. So that's like 2, right? I find the idea that you could buy any bike from any manufacturer, you could buy it from a bike shop, you could buy it online, like so overwhelming. And so we are rolling out a new program that we're calling the STBG Right Ride Program. And the idea is that someone can basically work with you, figure out what they need for a bike for a fee, and you will prepare a formal recommendation of like 3 bikes where you say, okay, based on everything that we talked about, how you ride, where you ride, your ride style, skills, your budget, everything. Here's what I have or might have access to.
Yep.
Maybe not. And here are a couple of other options from reputable, what we'll call bike shop brands or
equivalent. Yeah, and it actually could be from another shop.
Yep.
Or it's a direct-to-consumer brand.
Yep.
Or it's a bike shop brand that's, say, and this is relevant right now, on clearance at an online retailer.
Yeah. Oh, and there's so many of those.
And there's so many of those.
And the thought is, beyond you being compensated, you could have somebody who's going to save 40% on a bike, but if it's the wrong bicycle, then that's a waste of money.
So big waste of money.
For $150, you'll take the time to come up with a whole presentation with them. And then if they do buy a bike from you, that fee goes towards the bike.
Yeah.
If they go with a local bike shop, great. Done. That's all done. You make the recommendation, you point them in the right direction, they buy the bike. And if they go with a online option, they can then pay a second fee to have the bike shipped to you. You'll put it together. And
for local people. So for local people, then I can also assemble that bike. And while bikes mostly come assembled, there's actually quite a lot to do on them. And a lot of things that bike shops don't do is optimize cable lengths. So you'll see on dropper posts, you'll see this huge line of cable housing splaying out of the front and coming around to the dropper lever, because they never bothered optimizing it to your height and your length. And all that's, I do all that. So, but if you're not local, then you still get the benefit of getting a better pick, or a knowledgeable pick.
Okay, we're back after a abrupt end of conversation.
Technical difficulties, please stand by.
It's never easy, especially when your producer is also trying to speak. So it's hard to manage all the things that could turn off without you noticing.
We need somebody over there doing all the recording for us.
What do you think Anders is doing? I think he'd be up for it. Anders likes to be a podcast producer. Anyway, we're back, and we are going to talk about PMC Unpaved, which we did, I can't even believe it, 2 weeks ago. We were out in, where were we?
Lenox, Massachusetts.
So that's pretty, for those unfamiliar, pretty close to the...
That's in the Berkshires. That is where Tanglewood is, where the Boston Symphony plays in the summertime. In fact, we were a half a mile from Tanglewood.
Wow. Okay. But before we talk about Unpaved, let's roll some facts about the Pan Mass Challenge.
Okay.
So the Pan Mass Challenge is the world's largest athletic-based fundraiser. I think they only say the United States, but is there really any other one that's bigger? I don't think there is.
That'd be something to look up, but I doubt it.
Founded in 1980, in 2024, they hit $1 billion raised for the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. And what I always respected about them is 100% of rider-raised funds goes to Dana-Farber, which... If anyone looks at the numbers for fundraisers and fundraising charitable organizations, that is wildly unusual.
Yeah.
And they do that they have sponsors. We pay
an entry as well as the fundraising in order to do these rides.
Yep.
So between all that, that's how they do their admin costs so that they can have 100% of the actual fundraising funds.
Yeah. So, I mean, just from a fundraising standpoint, we'll talk about the fundraising for it, which is mandatory in a minute, but just it makes it easier as a fundraiser to be able to say all of your money that you donate is going to go to cancer research.
It really does.
That's pretty cool. The signature event of the PMC since the beginning is their summer ride. It's always the first weekend of August, and the really iconic ones are they start in Sturbridge and Wellesley. They first day goes to Bourne, which is basically the gateway to Cape Cod. And then the second day, you ride all the way up to the tip to Provincetown. Right?
Yes.
Which I used to say, I've done that a couple of times now. And I always said the weird thing was if you told me to drive on the Cape in the middle of the summer, I would have told you that you were bananas. There's absolutely no way I'm going to the Cape in the middle of the summer, but I'll ride my bike for 2 days down to no problem. Right?
Yep. So that's almost 200 miles over the 2 days.
Yep. And then they added the winter cycle, and they added that. They added that my first year of the PMC.
Mm-hmm.
So this was my 10th year. So they actually called it the resolution, and it was the first or second weekend in January.
Yes, held at Fenway Park. It's indoors in the club area, and really you sort of overlook the field.
Yeah,
and you're riding spin bikes in there together.
Yeah, and it's cool because you get, first of all, the spinner who maybe isn't a cyclist, right? The people who only do spin and want to support the PMC. And I also think of it kind of as a nice entry for someone who's interested in doing a PMC. Like, I'd like to do it with our son.
But how is it an entry?
Well, because it's only $500 fundraising. And I think the fundraising is a big
So it's an entry into the fundraising aspect of it. It's an entry
into the idea that you're going to do an event, you're going to fundraise. The minimum is $500 per 1 hour session. So if you do just one session,
and you're doing this for a good cause. So
and so it just kind of gets you into doing a nonprofit, a charitable event. Our son, for example, isn't necessarily a big cyclist, but I believe his girlfriend does spin. And so that's kind of a way that we could get them into the PMC
That's true. Yeah.
family.
Something to try.
And it's just cool. I mean, how often can you say that you rode a spin bike at Fenway Park? Right?
Yeah.
Like it's a neat event. And then 4 years ago, they added Unpaved.
Yes. So Unpaved is the gravel edition. It's a 1-day ride.
Yep.
And they have 2 routes that you can choose from. So, and they give it little fun names here. The Raven, which is 30 miles and about 3,000 feet of climbing. And then the Eagle, which is 50 miles and just over 5,000 feet of climbing. So both of them are difficult because of the amount of climbing.
Yes.
And in this past couple of weeks ago when we were doing the ride, we did the 50, the Eagle. And I started looking down at my Garmin at one of the steep hills, and I was just yelling out the grade percent as it kept going up and up and up. And I think the max we hit was 19%.
I heard 20 from someone, but I remember at one point just saying, "You're not helping." Because at 19%, I was going so slowly that my Garmin just paused. It just said...
Yeah, because you have it set to pause at probably like 3 or 4 miles per hour. And,
it's about 3 miles per hour. So I was going just about 3 miles per hour. And I was like, well, now we're not speaking, Garmin, because that's just rude.
I have been to other events with this kind of steep terrain where I am riding alongside somebody who's walking and we are going the same pace. So that was not the case for me this time.
Okay.
Or at least I never was alongside somebody who was walking.
Right.
But yes, that can be the case.
That has definitely happened to me where there's a thought like, am I really going any faster than I would if I was just walking this? Or the other one will be you're coming up next to someone and you're like, on your left?
Right. Maybe in 5 minutes, even though your wheel is overlapping theirs.
Here I come. So, but it's a level grade. It's hard to even describe because to people who don't ride, because it's not even a grade you would see on your car that often.
Very rarely do roads hit this. These are real back roads.
Right.
And I believe they were all dirt, the ones that were really steep.
Yes, yeah. Oh, the really steep ones, and the organizers were they were so clever. There'd be signs as we approached the really steep. They'd be like, "You're gonna want to start spinning now."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Right.
That's really helpful. And
Yeah,
you'd start. You're like, just stop. You're just moving so very, very slowly.
There's a few of us who like to see that on our computers, that we know it's coming.
Yes.
You're in the climb. You've got the climb program going. You can see the graphical nature of what you're about to encounter and so forth. And then there's, of course, there's other people who just say, don't show me anything. I don't want to know. I will get through it.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good point. So I really like when the Garmin shows me the climb profile,
Yeah.
like where it says you're entering a climb,
love that.
and it shows you the different colors, even if oxblood red pops up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it because I think sometimes when you're on, first of all, I get into like Super Mario Brother head where I can actually hear the do 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 do, or is that Tetris? Anyway, the point is I in my head kind of like start to, I'm just I'm a little dot, and I'm moving it up the
slope?
climb up the
Mm-hmm.
slope. And also because sometimes you can't see the top, and if you feel like it's out of reach, you may stop pedaling. But if I can see it on the Garmin, I might say, oh, well, this part, this 20% grade is only for another couple of seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And the top is really, really close because
Mm-hmm.
it'll tell you how much more is coming. And so I find it helps me manage my pain tolerance, where I can say, okay, I can see what's happening. I also think there's a psychological thing that the color goes from that oxblood red to kind of orangish, because now we're at 12%, and you're like, oh,
This is easy. I could do this all day.
this is so easy.
Yeah.
I don't actually know if it is. They could throw any color in front of me at that point and I wouldn't know. But yeah, it's we were talking about this a little bit beforehand on, now that I've actually done all these events, right? I've done a version of the winter cycle. I've done the summer PMC several times, and now I've done Unpaved. I've done the 50. And I would say Unpaved is hard. Unpaved is the one you can't really fake it till you make it, right? Like, you don't necessarily have to be someone. Anders doesn't do spin, but he can get on a spin bike for an hour. He can suffer for an hour.
Yep.
Regardless. And the summer one, assuming the weather's good, weather's a huge factor in the summer one, but assuming the summer's good and you're okay with just miles on the saddle.
Yeah, it's a relatively flat.
It's a relatively easy-ish,
course.
right? It's no joke. It's not
yes,
hard.
It's still a lot of miles.
Still a lot of miles. Still a lot of hours on the saddle. But Unpaved, I would say, is the most demanding, regardless of the weather, regardless of anything. Just in its purest form, it's the most demanding.
Mm-hmm.
If you added rain and a bunch of other stuff to it, it'd be real bad. Right? So it's, if there's anything I'd love to see them add, if they can, and we talked about this, is a version of the Raven, so a 30-mile, but maybe with not quite so much climbing. There is on this, the last climb, both the 30 and the 50 do it. It ends with this. It's kind of mean because it's a really steep climb that you're like, yes, so good. And then you come over the top and it starts to go up again to the highest point of Unpaved.
You know, the funny thing is that everybody kept talking about that. They're like, how there was a big climb and it was long and everything.
Yes.
And I was like, what are you talking about? It's really, really short relative. And that first part, which is super steep,
Yes,
is probably half a mile, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, look, see, that was nothing. And then we go down a little bit on
Yes.
single track, and then climb.
then
But
I think-
that second part, To me, that was nothing.
Yeah. So, my point is that first part of that climb.
Yep.
That's the part I think that if you could skip that somehow.
Ah, right.
If you could do the 30,
get around the steep,
get around that
inclines.
Part, then I think you would have a slightly more. You could have something that someone doesn't have to feel like, oh, this is really hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it for the challenge of it. I have become someone who really likes to climb those things and to afterwards say, well, I didn't put my foot down. Right. Like I got it. I did it slowly.
And that's why when you're riding along somebody who's walking, even though you're going the same pace, it is still that I am going to make this climb.
I'm going to do this climb.
Yep.
Sometimes getting off and walking can be good because it can help reset your muscles and shift if you're cramping or anything like that. So I'm certainly a believer that in every gravel biker's a built-in hiker. And that's, you have to go into this kind of thing being okay with that. We've talked about it before. We're going to talk about it now. Gearing is a huge piece of this.
Oh, massive piece of this. And here in New England, that's why I always recommend gravel bikes using mountain bike rear end cassettes. The Eagle 10 through 52 or Shimano's 10 through 51. You cannot go low enough on some of these events. The Unpaved or what's the Vermont Overland?
Yep.
And D2R2. Yes, they tend to throw the kitchen sink at you with high percentage grades.
Now I will say we were riding with someone who did part of D2R2 with us, and we were reflecting about it afterwards. I'm going to say D2R2 was harder.
Oh, absolutely.
So this isn't by any stretch the hardest gravel ride there. And it's a beautiful route.
No, if anything, it just really has, the 50 mile had 3 hard climbs?
Yeah.
Fairly long.
Yep. Yeah. But...
And a lot of climbing otherwise, but I'd say those hard climbs were about 3 of them.
What other gear would you say somebody needed? I mean, we talked about the gearing. What did we have for tires? What were we running for tires on that?
You had 45 millimeter tires.
I had my bananas.
Yes, your yellow Panaracers. Very spectacular.
Got a lot of compliments.
I have had 50 millimeter tires on my bike for most of the summer. Oh, for ice, I put them on for Iceland.
Okay.
Haven't taken them off. They roll phenomenally, and I didn't see a need to change them. So I was really happy with that. But the roads are really just gravel dirt roads, and you could get away with something thinner at D2R2.
Or unpaved.
Unpaved.
Right.
Yes.
And maybe D2R2 too. But what is interesting about unpaved when you're talking to someone who hasn't done a gravel ride, like a PMCer who they've done the summer, but they haven't done.
Well, there were a few people who brought their road bikes.
Oh, were there?
Oh, yes.
Well, I was going to say, we get a lot of questions from our team who haven't come out to do it, where they seem to think it's single track. Like we're out there doing mountain biking. And we're not. It's really dirt roads. But you actually saw road bikes?
Yeah.
Oh.
Not many. Two I can think of in my head.
Okay.
Yeah. And with old, like one was a Cannondale with old school gearing.
Really?
Yeah. And 25 millimeter tires. Yeah. I'm not sure how he was managing. A lot of these roads were freshly graded.
Yes.
And they were very loose. And we had some really sketchy descents because the gravel was so loose from being graded recently.
Yeah. I think let's talk about some of the technique or etiquette. So number one is when you have loose like that, you really can't just let it fly on going downhill like you might be tempted to on a road bike.
Speak for yourself. But
okay, I cannot really let it fly.
It is a high degree of Paying attention really is.
And keeping your weight back and really,
Yep.
you know, we were talking about how there were some people riding that they kept pointing to things like you do on a road ride where you're like a whole gravel rides. Do we point at things?
Yes, I do. I point to things like I do on a road bike, but way less so on a gravel bike. And that's because not assuming these two people that I saw on regular road bikes are on gravel bikes, so that they have wider tires, hopefully running in the 20s or 30 PSI range.
Yep.
And so a lot of the things that would really jar or throw a road bike offline should not even phase a gravel bike.
Yep.
And so those are the things in my head that I just don't even bother pointing out.
Yeah, but you also have to keep in mind that you got to hold your line. So there is a possibility you're going to end up going into a little bit of a rut or something like that because you can't be swerving out of the way. It's such a big group and we're all trying to stay in. Did get called out on was to do a better job of holding my line going around curves.
I will say on some of those big, very loose descents, you can't. Right. So you could be coming around one of these corners and you might be on the inside line thinking you're going to follow that inside line and that soft gravel is going to say no, there's no way you're going down if you try to hold that line, right? And you have to let the bike wander outside. Now, this is speed related. The faster you're going, the more you're going to have to let the bike wander out to the apex of the outside of the curve.
Okay.
Because otherwise you are risking breaking traction. So that's just normal. But
speed.
Usually everybody is giving wide berth around each other just to make sure, because there was some sketchy downhill. So when you're on the dirt roads, you also ride a little differently. You're not really doing pace lining like you would on pavement.
One of our friends was like, "Wait, is it pace line? Oh my, no."
Yeah.
And I was like, "You keep thinking we're gonna get ourselves organized, and it's just not gonna happen." Also, I think it's just the philosophy of a ride versus a race.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are.
No, because on a lot of rides, I have been in a lot of just rides, not races, where we are pace lining and we are hauling. And it doesn't matter that it's just a ride. We are there to get it done and done quick.
You know what? Even as you say that, you're absolutely right. During the summer PMC, there are a lot of teams that will pace line and not tell you they're there. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
On the road, much more likely to have some pace lining happening.
I don't see that anywhere unpaved. It is very much a casual vibe at unpaved.
Yes.
Even from people who might pace line in other events. This is a super casual event.
Let's talk about fundraising.
Okay.
And one of the reasons we did want to get involved with Unpaved was the fundraising is
$2,000.
$2,000 each. And that's mandatory. When we sign up, we give our credit card and we say...
Yeah, if you don't cover the fundraising, then they charge you for the balance.
You're getting charged. But the traditional summer PMC is anywhere from $2,000 to the 2 days, like $6,000. And so we liked the fact that we could both do Unpaved, because then I only had to fundraise for $4,000, both of us, instead of...
I am bad at fundraising, and I did a little better this year, but I am still not good at it.
I get it. I really do get it. We have an additional challenge here in Massachusetts in that this is where PMC is based, and so
everyone gets hit up by many people for the PMC.
My best years as a fundraiser for the summer PMC was when listeners of Manic Mommies were fundraising.
Right.
And I was getting money from all over the country from people who had never heard of the PMC, right? And so that was just an untapped market. So now it's really challenging. And I would say the biggest mistake we made I made our first year of Unpaved is we didn't even start our fundraising until the summer PMC was over.
Right.
And the problem was nobody knew what Unpaved was. And then if they figured it out, they're like, but I already made all my donations, right? I have a certain amount of money that I'm going to donate to PMC riders.
Right. Yes. So now
and I gave mine.
The smart move is you start fundraising with all the rest of the summer PMCers. You're all doing the PMC this year.
Right.
Some are doing the summer. We're doing the fall. It doesn't matter. You just all fundraising together.
Yeah. But it's never, I don't think anyone finds fundraising to be that easy or that enjoyable. One of the ways I make it a little easier for myself is I try to come up with something. This year it was a sticker that used the John F. Kennedy quote, "We do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard." So that I have something to give to say thank you. And then also it forces me to do thank you notes. And you know, it's really fun when you see your sticker I've seen it on a couple bikes. I've seen it on a couple of water bottles. So it is nice. I think people appreciate getting a little something.
And of course, then we have our budget to give out to, so yeah. And that's the other thing is that, of course, like all the PMCers are getting donations from the same people who are also giving out donations to the PMC.
It does feel a little like we're all just giving to each other.
Yes.
Last year, I think I made the decision because like everyone else, we have a certain amount that we can donate, where I did two things. I looked through anyone who was riding that we knew to see if they had met their minimum. And if they hadn't met their minimum, I made a donation. So no offense to the people that were like, I'm gunning for 20 grand. I love you and I am so proud of you. But if somebody was at $4,000 and they had a $6,000, then I was going to give money there. Yeah. The other is teenagers and young adults. So anyone who's, this year we had a couple of kids join from our team. Melissa's son, John's had two sons, right? We had all of these teenagers and young adults, and none of them had hit their minimum either. So I donated to all of them. Nice. So I feel like everybody has to find their strategy, but it does feel bad sometimes when your friend donates to you and you're like, thanks. And then you don't donate back.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes.
So now you know. I have explained it to some people.
Yes.
Or
we have our own personal donation strategy, right?
Yeah, I think everybody has to. What else about PMC Unpaved should people know about?
Well, it's really kind of a weekend event. So
it's summer camp
most
for grown-ups.
People get there around 2 or 3 on the Friday, the day before, and this is at a boys' summer camp in the Berkshires. And then that whole evening is just wonderful. They have fire pits going. They feed you dinner in the cafeteria. They have...
I'm sorry. We call that a mess hall.
Mess hall. You're right. Sam Adams is there handing out drinks.
Yep.
And there's a couple other vendors there. Everybody, you're making s'mores. Everybody's just about on the lawn next to the lake. It is just a wonderful, wonderful atmosphere. And then you wake up, and it's not a super early morning. They feed you breakfast. You get your stuff together. The ride starts at 9, so not one of these crazy early rides.
So luxurious. Given that I've left Bourne at 4:00 in the morning, you know the sun isn't even up.
Right.
It's so luxurious.
Yeah, it really is. It's a very nice morning.
Go back to the van.
Yep, they got the coffee there. And then you get back, and then a lot of people do leave after the ride. But for those who stay for Saturday night, they feed you dinner again, and Sam Adams is still there handing out drinks.
And the bourbon
and then, of course,
company.
you're after the ride, so the bourbon company, right? So you've got a lot more drinking going on that night.
Right.
The fire pits are out, all the Adirondack chairs, and then late night they bring in pizzas. Which was like, it was probably around 8. It wasn't all that late.
It was late night.
Well, in October, the sun's been down for a couple hours.
And it's been a long day, but It's also 8:00 at night. Yes. And that pizza, I mean, let's be clear. I haven't had pizza in years because I have issues with dairy. I probably ate 5 pieces. I remember saying to Jarrett, who's the CEO of PMC, I am completely going to regret this in the morning. And I did. Totally. The next morning, I was like, I think I'm dying. My system was like, eject. What did you do? Oh, but it was so good.
It was
like
so
the
good.
cheese was so cheesy.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. Yeah. It has a very much a summer camp vibe. Obviously, you said it. It's at a boys' summer camp, Camp Mackinac. And it's also just that shared mission. It's not the same as just, again, like after D2R2, we all had lunch and that was fun, but you're there for a shared purpose, a shared mission. And the other thing is the summer PMC is thousands of people.
Yes.
Right? So when you pull into Bourne, that's after day one, there's dinner and there's stuff going on, but there's just people everywhere. It's gigantic. You're not necessarily, you might run into a friend here or there. And then when you get to Provincetown, we just kind of disperse. Like we get to P-Town, we're like, thanks, good to see you, go. Like there's no final thing. Unpaved is 400 people. How many was it?
Yeah, 400 to 500.
So
yeah.
it feels so much more intimate. Like showing up to register, one of the women at the merch tent, we've seen her every year for 4 years. She was like, hey, you're back. How are you? How are the kids? Which I've seen her once in every year. So, and you get to hang out with people, like you're going to see them time and time and time again. So it just has an intimacy to it that, I mean, it has to grow. It's going to grow. I know that, but I don't think it'll ever be as big as the summer.
No,
it just can't be. Gravel rides aren't that. But it's what I love so much about it is that those moments sitting around the fire, making your s'mores with your Reese's peanut butter cup, which is magic, that I really appreciated. This was our first time staying until Sunday. Because we were going to see our daughter the next day on the way home. It was fun. Yeah. I mean, I can't keep up with the bourbon and the drinking and stuff like that. They had
just a little taste. That's all. That's how Steven kept saying.
Just
a little taste.
Oh
Here,
my
just a
gosh.
little taste.
I was like, how many of those tiny little shot glasses? They were like tiny little red Solo cups. How many of those is a drink? And he's like, none. They don't add up. I'm pretty sure they do. But anyway, that's PMC Unpaved. We're going to do a full eval of all of the rides we've done. But I will say it checks all the boxes for me for the kind of event that I like to give my money and my time to. It is PMC events, without question, are the best supported of any events I've
The first
gone
year,
to.
we joke that there was about a 2-to-1 volunteer to rider ratio. So many people came out to volunteer, and you got to thank all of those volunteers. And they have so many. And
they're so dedicated.
And they're so dedicated, and just that's what makes this thing
and they have
move.
Great ride support, and they have great, lots of snacks, good food, good rest areas. And I will also say it is one of the best documented rides you will ever do.
The drone guy does phenomenal work.
Yeah, they always have a full Glenn from Snowcap video is always there, and he always has a full team, and they do, and they also have volunteer photographers there. So you're never not going to get into a shot. You're never not going to have a picture from your ride, which is just cool. It's just cool to have. So that's it. PMC Unpaved in the books. Now we just have to hope that next year does not conflict with UMass homecoming, because we did promise our daughter we would go to homecoming her senior year. Let's take a break.
Okay.
In a controlled manner this time. We can come back and wrap this up with a couple of
Well, we got some good stuff coming up, actually.
Yeah, we've got some good stuff coming up. We're back.
Yes, and just to finalize Unpaved, we got some feedback.
Okay, so first of all, shout out. We had a listener, Kevin, approach us to tell us that he had discovered us maybe through a friend of a friend, and he had a long drive from Washington, D.C., multi-hour, and he dove deep into the show and listened to the two of us yammer on for multiple hours. And he said he loved it. He particularly liked the episode, Why Your Wife Needs the Better
Bike. Yes, he went into all of that and how that is quite important.
Yeah, and he actually said that episode inspired him to upgrade when he was buying his daughter a new bike.
Right.
He was going to buy her a bike with mechanical brakes, but he paid like $500 extra to get hydraulic
disc brakes.
brakes.
Yep, on the road bike.
And why is that why is that a good upgrade?
Okay, so to make this real quick. So mechanical disc brakes, they don't have the stopping power. On rare occasion, you can get near the stopping power. It is rare.
Okay.
It can be the same brake that is awful most of the 90% of the time, and occasionally you'll get one that just seems to work very well. They don't compensate for pad wear either. Oh. Okay. So you have to constantly, as the pads get thinner, the lever throw gets further, and you have to adjust the brakes down at the calipers.
I have to squeeze so much for them to work. Okay.
And this was about sort of buying your wife a better bike. In this case, there was this guy's daughter.
Yeah.
And the pure fact of it is that women have smaller, weaker hands.
Yes.
And it takes a stronger hand to brake with enough force on mechanical disc brakes, because there's a lot of pressure to pull those levers, a lot more than hydraulic disc brakes.
Right.
They also, you have to deal with the cable wear. The cables get grimy and gritty, and that causes just reduced performance on the brakes.
Okay.
Hydraulic disc brakes, yes.
An extra $500, that was a big upgrade, and it's going to mean she's going to be very...
Yes.
She's going to be that much happier.
Oh, that much happier. Braking is super important.
Right.
Yep.
And if that is not the reason that we do this podcast, I honestly don't know what, like that alone is why I'm glad we do this show. Did have one person who said, we have a very bad habit of dropping enticing bits of information and then never going back to it.
Okay.
For example, you built a Raleigh Technium as an e-bike for your son.
Mm-hmm. We just kind of dropped that.
And that was it. We just kept on trucking.
Got it.
And
is there a little more explanation on that?
There's a lot more. We offered no more explanation on that. And the question was, what the heck are you talking about? What do you mean you built? How did you take a bike that you bought when you were 16 and convert it into an e-bike that our son could use to commute to school?
So there is a company called Switch, and there have been many e-bike conversion companies out there. A lot not so great. So this company, Switch, spelled with a Y, they are out of Great Britain, I believe.
Yep.
And it is a front wheel add-on, basically. So you are just putting in the front wheel and you're connecting a bunch of wires. The battery will either sit up on your handlebars or sometimes on the inside the triangle of the frame.
Okay.
And now one goes on a rear rack. So it is certainly a self-doable install, but it's a fairly complicated in terms of just managing the wires.
Right.
But that's it. And so just you just put in the front wheel,
right?
Attach the battery, a little controller up at the handlebar, and you're off and running. And so it can convert a lot of bikes to an e-bike fairly easily. It is mainly intended for simpler bikes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, so you buy the certain kind of wheel that matches your
bicycle.
Yes. And one of the nice things, I will take some pictures of it and put them on our website and in social and everything. What I like about it is it's not obvious when you look at this bike that there's something technological going on with it, because the battery, which is about the size of a Nintendo Switch, interestingly, comes out. So he would pull the battery out and put it in his bag and bring it in to the school. So now you just have an old bike with this thing on the front.
You wouldn't really know. I mean, it's an oversized front hub.
Yeah.
Most people aren't even looking at the front hub to see if something's an e-bike.
Right. Yeah. And he said it worked perfectly for him. He was... 2 miles from...
His battery was very small. As you said, it was the size of like a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
So his range was only like at most 15 miles. But yeah, he lived a couple miles from campus.
He lived
downhill
2 miles from campus. So it was uphill all the way there.
Yep.
So he said he would use the full boost all the way there.
Yep.
I think he would basically use it because he was...
Yeah, and then it was another hill to get back to the top of campus, and then basically coasting all the way down.
Yeah, and he surprised us. He used it a lot. He really liked it. So that is we do have to try not to drop these little gems in there and then go, okay, moving on. And we did actually get a second switch kit for a Surly that I have. I don't know where that stands and it's being installed.
So that one has a larger battery. So that battery is going to go inside the triangle.
Oh, okay.
All right. So that's going to get strapped underneath the top tube.
Yeah.
That you'll have more range on that. That is almost ready.
Okay. Just in time for the winter.
Just in time for the winter.
So somebody asked me, why bother with an e-bike? And I said, I'm actually thinking of using it to commute back and forth, or at least one way, to work through the woods. And again, the idea is just not to have it be a fully fatiguing ride. I want to be able to get to work and still
be fresh and not sweaty necessarily. And all that stuff.
Exactly. So I'm excited for that. All right. Is there anything else you would like to cover before we wrap up? Because we have a busy weekend.
We have one quick scene while scrolling. This was an interesting article I saw from Scientific America for their 180th birthday. And they took a 1973 graphic that they had published about the different forms of animal locomotion and their efficiency. And they added humans on a bicycle into that graph.
So the original in 1973 was like how fast a cat moves, a dog,
cat
a cougar,
and a dog and
a fish,
an elephant and so forth in terms of their
Yes.
efficiency of moving, moving themselves.
Yes.
And so now when they put humans on bikes, it turns out that humans are pretty much the most efficient animal on the planet when you're on a bicycle. Yeah. So it is, a bicycle is just, what does it say? They turn humans into this hyper-efficient terrestrial locomotor because they make being on land more like swimming.
You know, I believe it. I have to say, I love riding my bike, as you know. I feel like a more coordinated person on my bike. I'm constantly running into things and tripping over things, but on my bike, I feel pretty coordinated. But I also remember, do you remember we had a customer in a couple of years ago? I think she was like 80 and she was on her bicycle and she was telling me how her friends keep telling her she has to give up riding.
Yes, I do remember this.
I have to give up, I should give up riding. And she said, I am never giving up riding. I feel young and I feel fast. And she's just going on the rail trail. Well, let's be clear. She wasn't racing. It was just a cruiser bike. But yeah, bikes are awesome.
Yeah.
Bikes are efficient.
We can leave it at that.
It's why I'm always like, why are we hiking when I could be riding my bicycle?
You do always say that.
I'm so dumb. Anyway, speaking of which, yes, we're very exciting. Tomorrow we are doing a 50K mountain bike ride. a little nervous about that.
These are great days.
That'll be exciting. Exactly. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Cycling Together with Kristin and Steve is a production of Steve the Bike Guy, an independent bicycle shop in Eastern Massachusetts, and Sundin Marketing.
If you like the show, please leave a review or share with a friend. For show notes, links, or to leave a comment, question, or topic suggestion, visit cyclingtogether.bike.
You can follow the shop on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok at Steve the Bike Guy. If you do listen and you want to share a little love, you can leave a comment or a review on any of our podcasting apps. That is always appreciated.
Very much so.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining the ride.